I'm big into asking yourself questions.
Mm-hmm.
Simple
Yes.
questions. Why don't I wear that? Why do I still not like okra? What?
You really do. And you've been doing that. You've been harassing me in that way for years. Let me just put it this way. I came to you with a situation not too long ago, less than a week ago. And I wanted my bestie of 50 years to give me some straight cut answers. Let's do this, this, this. You know what you sent me away with? You remember. Why
I
don't you
do.
do the 5 whys? I'm like, if I'm asking myself, I don't need to ask you. Hey, Ange.
Hey, Les. It's so good to see you.
It's good to
Like,
see
I
you
didn't
too.
see you this morning on FaceTime. It doesn't matter. It's always good to see you. And it's as if I haven't seen you in months.
So
That's so
somehow
corny.
you must have known that I was going to be wearing a V-neck black dress because you copied me.
First of all, there's no copying or biting going on here. I went into my t-shirt drawer and I pulled out my Superwoman t-shirt because that's what I wanted to wear. It had nothing to do with
Okay,
you
I'll
and
give you that.
none of the things.
I
None of
don't
the
have
things,
the
Leslie.
Superwoman on my chest today, so
Okay, and it's not even V-neck.
it's all
This
on
is
the
my
in here. It's all
listen.
in here. The super.
This is not a V-neck. This is my bosom
Creating a V.
creating a
Creating 2 mountains and a natural valley. That's good. That's good.
You are so
Well,
silly.
welcome.
Listen, guys.
We got to welcome them because
Okay,
they're like,
okay.
who are these beautiful
Welcome
ladies?
to Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn. I'm Angella, and that's my bestie, Leslie. We've been best friends for almost 50 years. Clutch the pearls. And we started this podcast because we wanted to invite you to think deeply and act boldly. So, if you are an older woman, or if you love one, or if you want to become one, stick around. I think you will be entertained, edified, and all the good things.
Delighted.
All the good things.
Just
and
and
what?
delighted.
And
And
delighted.
tickled. And tickled.
Tickled, all the
Yeah.
things. Okay, Les.
So what I would like you to do is press like and subscribe. And please turn on notifications because when we drop new content, then you'll be notified. And I think that either you or your friends will be glad that you did.
Beautiful. All right. So,
I have something exciting to talk about today.
what?
I've had it for quite some time. And I think it's time to let the world know what you've been up to. So
One of the things I've been
Oh
up
yeah,
to.
one of the million things you've been up to. You're so busy. You make me so tired.
But actually, all the things that I've been up to are tied to what I talk about in what we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
So it all comes out of my desire to have more joy and my decision to fill my life with that.
You've been doing this for me for years and years, in all honesty. You actually bring something out of the people you encounter that's different. And we're going to go a little bit more into that when we talk about your new ebook.
My new ebook.
So it's
My new
published
ebook.
and it's ready for you all to read,
ready.
and it's birthed to the world. So tell us the title and tell us about it.
Okay, so the title, there's a story in the title. Of course,
Of
if you
course.
guys have been watching this channel for more than 5 minutes, you'll know that there's always kind of a rhyme and reason to how I operate. And the original title was You're Too Old for This Shit. It was, you're just too old for this shit. And what I meant by that was, it was kind of a shakeup of myself and others who are in our age group or approaching our age, to say that there's an urgency that we need to place on being deliberate about joy. Leslie's sister Monique has a saying that says, "Look, there's not that many shopping days till Christmas." And that was considered as a title, actually. But it really just speaks to now is the time. Now is the time, people. Now is the time, boomers, late millennials or early millennials, whichever way it's said, to really be intentional about joy. And it talks about the ways that I have done it, and what is very consistent about me is when I do things and I find value out of it, I absolutely want to share it. And this book is really my gift to showing others that joy is something that you can not only desire, because some people don't even know to desire joy, or that they have the permission to desire joy, but to kind of understand what it is, desire it. And I give practical yet
profound,
dreamy, because sometimes we think practical means it has to be really grounded, and it doesn't include a kind of expansive way of seeing the world. Oh, you're not being practical. Well, you can be both. You know what I mean? And so this book is a way to make it both. And I actually, Les, don't shoot me, but I actually may change the title, because with this digitized world we're in, it's easy for me to do that, to "We're Too Old for This Shit," kind of owning the fact that I am and you are too old for this, and we're kind of in this together. And the subtitle is "The Inquisitive Older Woman's Guide to More Joy." And so that
Let me
is
stop
what it
you
is.
for, I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
Why is now the time? Why now?
Oh, now is the time, because I want people to feel a sense of urgency, that the things that have been in your way don't need to be in your way. You just think that they are, and therefore they will always be. And it's a way of kind of shaking people. I think it was Dr. King that talked about the urgency of now, when he was constantly being told, change happens slowly and you got to wait and, have patience and all that stuff. And he said there's an urgency of now. There's an opportunity cost to delaying your joy.
Okay.
And so now, there you go.
Not only that, one thing that is becoming increasingly obvious to me, we have more time behind us than we have in front of us. I mean, unless I'm going to live until 125 years old.
Okay.
If that's when I'm gonna go, then I have a little more time than in front of me than behind me. But short of
then
that,
half your
at
life.
62,
Okay, you got half your life.
I've really, it's a time to start thinking about things seriously. And what do we want our legacies to be? How do we want the rest of our lives to look like, to feel like?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can compare it to the decades that we've had behind us. But that's where the rub comes in. If it's not ideal, or if we found that we haven't really attained joy, or we're still waiting, like my grandmothers used to wait to take the plastic off the couch. Really. You get up from watching television and your whole body is wet from sweat. It's like, if not now, when? No day is promised to us.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you, Ange.
It's that, and I think the what is in alignment with that is that all of the things that you think you can't do, or you think that you don't know, or you think that it's for someone else, you actually can. The things you don't know, you can learn. The things that you and kind of thinking about how much wisdom you've gained. So it's almost kind of leaning into that you are in this wisdom phase of your life. You've learned so much, you've experienced so much, these things that you may be, unwilling to challenge, that you have what it takes. You have what it takes. You have the experience, you have the wisdom to challenge those things. You're not going to create this, your world isn't going to go into a spin because you challenge some of these dogmas and unexplored must-haves in your life. And so that's kind of the other side of it. It's like, do it now because you're ready. That's it. Do it now because
you're ready. But here's the thing. There are so many barriers, or maybe not many, but there are significant barriers in front of you. And believe it or not, I think what you're saying is that it's not that others are putting these barriers on you, these obstacles. I think so much of it are our own obstacles.
Yeah,
fear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Fear of change, fear, I'm a person, I like things, I don't like change. I'm change averse. So I like very regular, orderly,
Oh, I didn't know that about you.
So what I'm saying is that charting new territories, even though I've shown competence in the past, or a person can be, so accomplished, but charting these uncharted waters, Yeah.
And since you talked about fear, I was just talking to a new friend of mine, which if we have time at the end, I'll mention that. But we're talking about fear and the idea of, being fearless, which to me is a joke. There's no fearless. There is fear, which is a human, it is a survival thing that we've learned, right? It's not that. It is feeling the fear and moving into it, moving through it, not letting it hinder you, learning how to feel it and do the thing anyway because it's important to you, because joy is on the other side of it. It's not getting to a point where, okay, I'll do it when I'm not afraid. Well, that may be why you're waiting.
Yeah. That's why it hasn't been done in 50 years.
Right, exactly. And I mentioned to her that I was talking to Kim a couple years ago, because it was profound when she said this to me. And she said, Ange, I still get butterflies when I'm going on stage or when I have a new project or things like that. And that's just the nature of putting yourself out there and wanting to be your best.
And stretching.
You're going to feel that. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. So don't think about waiting until you're not feeling the fear. That I think that you will be waiting a long ass time for that.
So when I was reading the book, I took a couple of notes because I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. So what it is we have to find a way to propel us into action, out of fear and into on our joy journey, let's say.
Right.
So there's a chapter or part in the book called "How's It Working for You?" Like status quo. How's it working for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you really look at the nuts and bolts of that, when you get down to the nitty gritty, it's like, it's not working that great. I'm tolerating it. I'm making sacrifices.
Right.
I often don't feel satisfied. I often think that I gotta be perfect before I move forward or do this,
Exactly.
Exactly. Then you get into this swirl.
Right.
I'm speaking about somebody else, obviously. I'm speaking for a friend.
Yeah, of course. I think a part of too that the time in which we grew up, that secrecy was a thing. You're not supposed to tell people your business. It's kind of the fake it till you make it. It's the it's the kind of respectability of things, right? Don't embarrass the family, or don't, I won't say be a credit to the race, because that was a little bit before our time. But this idea that that we have to show up as these near perfect beings, or be 10 times better than everyone else, that's a part of the way that we were socialized. And so this book, I'm hoping, will have people kind of look in the mirror and think about how those things are working for them or not. Right? What is the cost of pretending, I'm going to say, pretending that you're perfect, pretending that there's nothing wrong, pretending that you have this beautiful life. And this is not about telling everyone your business. This is about doing your own internal work.
Do you know
what I mean? It's your internal work. And from that internal work, you will behave differently. But it doesn't come from, the outside in. It comes from the inside out. And so it's encouraging people, especially women, especially Black women, to do this work, because we're all wonderfully made. And if you are not living in that amazement about who you are, it's a real detriment to you and to the world, because there's so much that the world is lacking,
and to He who created you for this. You were made for this.
You were made for it.
You were made for this.
Exactly.
One of the things I was thinking, though, while you were speaking, is that as Black women, certainly our age, we wear sacrifice as a badge.
Yes, we do.
And putting others before us as a badge. I know some of my personal endeavors, I was kind of called, oh, you're selfish. You're taking so much time away from your family, getting your education. That's selfish of you. When I wanted to go and get another degree or this, or, oh, that's selfish. Things that, my work certainly brings me joy. But because it often pulled me away from other responsibilities, I was, you're not supposed to move toward your goals like that. That's selfish. Think of others.
It's
and then the guilt that comes along with that,
Sure. It's definitely that. And I think some a part of that we don't often talk about is, you do that, and you make these decisions that you believe that these are the best things to do, and you put aside all the talk about being selfish and so on. And then you may reach a point where that becomes your identity, right? And oh, this is who I am. I can't change, or this is who I am. I fought for this,
and I
fought for this, and so this is who I am now. And
as though your identity has to be fixed.
Exactly.
But it's your identity. You're the one that sets the identity.
Correct.
So you talk about thinking about the next phase in your life. That's a great jumping point to looking at, is my life joyful? Are there relationships that I'm in that need changing or modifying? Or do I need to let go of some people and bring others in? Is it still in line with who I am or want myself to be today?
Exactly. And this what I talk about in the book and the examples I give are, some of these ideas are profound, but they're executing on them can be really simple, right? I'm big into asking yourself questions. Simple questions. Why don't I wear that? Why do I still not like okra?
You really do. And you've been doing that. You've been harassing me in that way for years. Let me just put it this way. I came to you with a a situation not too long ago, less than a week ago. And I wanted my bestie of 50 years to give me some straight cut answers. Les, do this, this, this. You know what you sent me away with? You remember. Why don't you do the 5 whys? I'm like, if I'm asking myself, I don't need to ask you.
Because that's what you needed. Because here's what happens, right? Here's what happens.
I did get to an answer, though. I took it seriously.
Because we have these mental models, right? Like, if this happens, then you do this, right? An example is you're not supposed to, this was kind of back in the day. Things are changing now, but mother-in-laws are supposed to be problematic, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like this thing. If it's a mother-in-law, there's tension, problems, right? Or you're supposed to money is supposed to be more important than love, right? We have these ways of framing how life should be. Mm-hmm. And
then we live it out, whether it makes us happy or not, or, right. It's just the way you do it.
Or whether there's like 50 million other ways to do it. So when you came to me, you had a preconceived idea.
I really did.
And I need to do this. What is the best way for me to do it? And so my thing was, is that really
a need that you have to do? That's what you did.
That's what I did. And the answer may be yes, but I didn't think that you had considered.
I didn't.
Why you were just doing it because, I'm supposed to do that.
Because that's the way yeah.
There you go. You're welcome, Leslie.
Because
You're welcome.
This is the way it's done. And what I really appreciated about it, and this is something that comes up in your book, your joy is personal.
Yes.
And what you said to me is, don't answer the question according to what Monique would answer, mm-hmm. or what I would answer. Mm-hmm. What would you want? Answer. What is the answer for Leslie?
Right.
And then I had to stop thinking about what others would think of me when I made this mm-hmm. decision, mm-hmm. etc. And I went down the 5 whys. Yeah. It was very concrete. It really got me to where I needed to go.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. I learned that technique. It comes out of, I think there was it came out of, or we came to know it from I forget the Japanese car manufacturer, and they used it to understand the root cause of defects. And so you may, whatever, and they use it across, in all different fields. I remember talking to my brother who was in the Navy, and he says, we used to do that after there was a big, failure or some outage or something like that. Mm-hmm. They would use this, and in kind of the self-awareness language, mm-hmm. we call it the 5 whys. It was, okay, what is the real problem? Because oftentimes we start trying to fix something or solve something, and it ain't it.
It ain't it.
It ain't it.
So we wonder why our problem persists, even though we've gotten an answer to the question we asked. And it's like... Right. Yeah. Right.
So we have these mental models, and then we try to fix something that, of course, that is the problem. When it's not the problem, that person isn't the problem. The problem may be with you, maybe with someone else, maybe mm-hmm. something that you're bringing from your childhood.
It was me.
Bringing from your childhood.
I'm glad it was a personal conversation. And it was a little hard for me to be honest with myself.
I know,
because I didn't want to admit that I had this kind of mental construct, but the problem was me.
Yeah. And the thing too is that when we just kind of anchor to those, mental models, and we don't challenge them, they almost become a crutch, right? It almost becomes a reason for you
something
to stay
that we lean on, and it gives us a reason not to think else, there's these,
Yeah.
this is the answer. So we don't need to explore other possibilities.
Exactly. And so when you talk to other people about it, of course they understand because they have the same mental models, and it just becomes this reinforcing thing that you did the right thing. And in fact, because you're living the life, and you know how you feel when you move forward, and when you make a decision and then the next month you buck up on it again, you understand that.
Yeah, because before you hung up, you said, listen, you don't have to tell me anything. You have to be honest with yourself, and don't answer as Monique would or as I would. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, shit.
Oh, all right now. Yeesh.
Yeah,
but it was actually a very quick way to get to the root of my problem and allow me to identify and address what the real problem was, and was so far away from the question that I originally asked.
That's beautiful. Because
I didn't give you that feedback yet. I just said thank you. No, because I wasn't supposed to tell you about it. It was just a little bit, and I was a little embarrassed. A little bit. I felt a little, you dummy head.
Right.
That's what my friend George calls me sometimes. He's like, you dummy head.
No, but this is the kind of thing, so we have these self-discovery and self-awareness and all these kind of big ideas. And what I hope that I did in my book is to make it really, really practical, almost getting you to the point, like you said, where it's like, wow, that really wasn't it. Or wow, that was silly.
Yes.
Or why have I been thinking that all this time? And that's really not the thing. And how can I, look at this differently? Because these set of facts don't necessarily add up. A plus B doesn't necessarily add up to C. It's just the way that I've been operating, and I can operate differently. So it's just these little, really practical, small changes that get you. Once you start thinking, hey, it may be a different way. If you can do that for this small thing.
Because
you know what I mean? You can start doing
point out is it starts out as curiosity.
Correct.
Like you ask yourself questions.
Yes.
Yes. At our stage in life, we should well recognize patterns of our own behaviors and our own thinking.
Yeah.
And then we can evaluate how those patterns have served us or not served us.
Right.
And that's the time it's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
And again, these things should be, your joy is nobody else's business.
Correct.
I got that from you.
I think too, because
but it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But it does require honesty. And we lie to ourselves, We want to present our best selves, even to ourselves, Right.
And I think because because success in kind of the more education, money, family, all of those things, because of the way that success has been defined to us, you do have the sense that, oh, I've reached here, and so why should I start mucking up things?
Yeah,
why should
me. Why should I change if this formula works?
Right.
But does it really?
Does it really?
Does it really?
Does it really?
Does
it really? And does it? Does it? And this could be again a really simple inquiry. The subtitle of the book includes inquisitive, the inquisitive older woman, right? And I purposefully use that word. Inquisitive is a word we use in Jamaica a lot. I don't think I ever really heard the word curious in conversations with Jamaicans or when I was living in Jamaica. Inquisitive is something you always talk about, a child being inquisitive. It could be a positive or negative.
I've always heard that word negatively used. You're too inquisitive. You
Yeah.
know.
So the idea was that you've reached this point in your life, right? And you're at a kind of what if stage or what's next stage. You know, you're an empty nester, or you have a career change, or you're starting to be a caregiver. Some big change in your life is going
Disruptor.
on.
Some disruptor.
Some disruptor
Yeah.
that's going on. And you're right at the point where, okay, get curious about what your next could look like. And,
Yeah.
question some things about how you've been operating, what you've kind of seen as quote unquote gospel, and check it out and see if there's something that has been keeping you away from what it is that you naturally are good at doing, or some gifting that you have been denied, some need that you have that you've been denying yourself, and tease at that a little bit. That's what the book is all about.
And what I was thinking also is about attending to my own needs being labeled or thought of as being selfish.
Right.
But one thing that I've come to know is that people who love you, they want you to be in joy.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be bone tired, depressed, unhappy,
Right.
self-sacrificing. We all know people like that.
Oh, yes.
And sometimes, we look at them and when are you going to put yourself first? When are you going to think about the needs that you have? And I respect that you love your family and you're, working for your family and all.
Right.
But your family also wants you around in a joyful space.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And
when we seek our joy, we are not, if you want to look at it this way, we're not just doing it for ourselves. That's not a selfish act. You're doing it for your loved ones.
you're doing it for everyone else. And I will kind of double click on that even a little bit more to say that when your needs get met, that thing that you need that gets satisfied is the thing that you give to others. Right? When I am in a space where I can be flexible and I have some space to be creative, that is when I can be full of grace for others. I can be very flexible with others when I am feeling that way and that need is met for me. I know for you, when you feel that you have things kind of well planned out, there is security in in your life, you create security for others.
Yeah.
So it's this thing where you're feeling like, oh, this is my need and my thing, but it actually causes you to be that for other people. So whoever's listening needs to kind of hear that, and kind of dispelling this idea of selfishness. It is actually the opposite. The more that you get the things that you need, the more that you can give those things to others. And I mean in really specific ways. If you're a planful person and you're living in chaos, you can't be this planful resource for anyone else, because you're like, but once you can organize you have things laid out, you can create that for other people. And so it's actually a flip of the idea of selfishness when you get your needs met. I love how I talk about it in the book, because I think that is really gonna cause people to see that very, very differently.
It's very clear.
Thank you, Les. Thank you. It's not because that I slipped some money in your pocket.
No. Actually, yes. By the way, I didn't get the book for free.
No, you did not, because this is who you are. You
Well, You're right.
This is
You're
who
right.
you are.
I wouldn't.
This is who you are. And you didn't expect it to. You
I
wouldn't
didn't.
have accepted it.
I ponied up.
You wouldn't have accepted it.
Yes, that's true. Was I the first person to buy it? You know me and my competitiveness.
You were not. I'm so sorry.
I missed it.
I'm so
I'll
sorry.
be the first one. The next book. The next book.
When
I'll buy it when you're still writing it.
When I create the audio version of it, you'll be the first one to get it.
Okay.
How about that?
So we have to be sure to put the link to the book and all of that information, of course. And what's the name of the book again?
When you guys see it, it will be named We're Too Old for This Shit. That's going to be the name of it. The Inquisitive Older Woman's Guide to More Joy.
Wow.
That's the name of it that you will see, because I was so like, oh, which way to go? I even sent a survey out to my email list to see. And then it just kind of hit me that we're in this together. It's not a me thing. It's not a you thing. It's we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. That's where I've landed, and that's what's going to print, as they say.
So we want to collectively present ourselves in a more joyful way.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Could you imagine what the world would look like if it were that?
Imagine.
I can't even imagine if people were to offer grace instead of condemnation.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I have to tell you something that happened, which I think is an example here of of a mental model and kind of pushing against that and so on. So, a few months ago, I got together with a group of women who were part of the Exodus Summit, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, Exodus Summit is coming up on October 11th through the 14th, I think are the dates.
Okay.
Guys, we'll put a link in here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a summit to help Black women take a career break, bop around the world, or actually leave the U.S. Black women solo or with their families. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, a group of us got together, and I met someone there. Her name is Elizabeth. Shout out to Elizabeth. Thank you so much. And so I told her that I was going to be in her town this past week, so this is a few months in the future. I said, oh, I'm going to be in your town. And she said, oh, why don't you do a house sit? Because that's a part of what we do in Exodus Summit, and something that helps people to travel is to do house sitting if you choose. And so she said, oh, why don't you do a house sit at my home? And okay, so we decided to do that. Well, her family, how can you do this? You don't know, this mental model that it's for all the right reasons.
Right.
You don't know this person, bringing her into your home or whatever.
That's so funny. I heard that also when we aired Stephanie Perry's. It's like, yeah, that's all well and good, but you're not thinking of that, are you?
Right. Okay. And my children kind of, okay, Mom, you checked it out, all of it. Again, mental models, they're there for a reason for protection, but you don't want to be living under a rock, right? And so we were in touch a few times, and the way that she knew me was because of this podcast. She had been, I still can't fully grasp that. So I knew that she knew a lot about me. And if she was, and I felt, because we're part of this group, there's so many ways that if things went south, we could both injure each other's reputation. Right? And so this past Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I stayed at her home. Oh my gosh. It was so wonderful. She had planned not to be there, but some plans changed. So she was there. And I had my own floor. And it was wonderful. We had great conversations. And Les, let me tell you, she's one of us.
Aww.
She's one of us. And I just I just expanded our circle of beautiful
Wow.
people because that mental model I challenged, her mental model she challenged and decided to do this. And it's just beautiful. I can't wait to see what unfolds because of this new friendship that we formed.
Wow.
So
Oh,
that's
that's
just
so nice. Yeah.
isn't that lovely?
It is. It is.
So anyway,
Wow.
we can do
So,
this.
kudos, congratulations on the ebook.
Thank
It was
you.
wonderful.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure I'll read it again. I need to pick up a couple more
And you can-
pointers.
I'll tell you, like I
like
set
they
up an
own
easy
own your shit.
own it.
Own
Come
your
on.
shit. Be honest.
Don't do that. Don't be like that. Don't be wrong and strong. That's not right. You know it's not right. It's survival maybe, but let's go.
You know,
Let's
when
be
you do stuff and
different.
you're like, I can't tell nobody this. Again, I'm speaking about somebody else I know. No one needs to find out.
No one needs to find out, but
own it.
you know who you are. My book is actually available at joystrategy.co/ebook, but we of course will put it in the episode notes. But joystrategy.co/ebook. And you can find it there. It's just $10. I just want to make it available. It's a real juicy book.
And it's a quick
but
read.
I did
yeah.
just want to make it available to as many people who would benefit from learning these tools. And I really just wanted a low kind of financial bar for folks. And
Okay.
I'd love for you guys to check it out.
And then leave comments and tell us what you think of it and tell us. Yeah. I think that would be really nice.
Awesome.
All right.
We're good. We're good, timekeeper?
We're good. I think we're good. Yes. This has been another episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.